All right. Good
How's it
afternoon,
going, Jennifer?
everyone. Good afternoon, Garrett.
How we doing? Happy Tuesday and welcome to September.
Yes, it's football season. Can't get much better than that, right?
Well, for some of us, at least your
Yeah,
boss.
yeah, fair enough. All right. Well, we'll make sure we give everyone a minute or two to jump in here. The goal for today, what we're going to go through, is more in the dashboards for the project management team, more the project focused dashboards that we have out of the box, and we'll just kind of highlight some of the key features on each of them and what kind of value we see with some of our existing clients. And as always, if you guys have questions or anything that comes up, please throw it in the chat, throw it in the Q&A section. We'll be happy to answer them as we go. We will have a couple minutes at the end to go through any questions as well. So all right,
I
let's
like it. We haven't been in the analytics marketplace in a while, so I was going to highlight that. There's so much information there. So
yeah, no, that's a good point. If I know a lot of the users are getting into the whip, getting into the cost forecast, but maybe some of the out of the box reports haven't been seen in a while, or maybe we can shed some light for any of the new users of the system as well. So the place I always like to start to get to a lot of the job dashboards, if you're in the main screen when you first log in here, obviously you'll have all your jobs listed out here. If you want to search for one, most certainly can, but just selecting a job in the list here will open up our overview page here. So this landing page is meant to be, your first stop to kind of seeing all the summary information, right? Contracts and budgets, cost, billings, over under calculations based on what we have on the WIP report. So this will be a good landing page to start digging around, right? So we can see kind of those high level numbers. We can start drilling into a lot of the details of the job by clicking into the little arrows that you'll see next to some of these KPIs and areas of this dashboard here. So I've opened up a couple of these: the job cost report, the billing report, and the change order report are the three we'll focus on out of the screen here. So as we take a look here, we'll start with the job cost report. So in nature, it'll be a pretty simple, pretty straightforward report, but it is a nice quick snapshot of where the job is today, right? So what we'll see along the top here: budget information on the job as a whole, cost, percent complete, pretty simple there. For the left-hand side, what we're looking at here is we're basically going to the cost code level. Some systems call them phases, some call them items, whatever the activity code is on the job. We're looking at the budget versus the actual cost. So not looking at the cost types, the labor component or the material component. We're looking at the item code as a whole and just seeing which ones have costs that exceed the budget, right? So we'll get into the detail here in just a second down below, but just kind of a high level, hey, here are the items that we're starting to see some cost overruns for this project. Now, it could be change orders, it could be a couple different things. Costs were put to a different cost code, but hopefully this can be kind of that quick snapshot of like, hey, why this project management supervision, why are we, over on those two items? Maybe there's some cost underruns on some of the other items, but as we start scrolling through here, we'll see all of our high level cost types listed out for the project, the labor. Now you'll see that there will be a blue and a green component. So the cost remaining will be in the blue, and then the actual costs will be in green. Okay, get all of our monthly costs. Now this will be for the job as a whole. I'll show you how you can filter it down. If you did want to trim it up just to look at, maybe for the last year of the project, you can use the slider here to just show, hey, for the last year, here's our costs month over month for the project, right? Now, a lot of these dashboards that we've built have a lot of interactions between them, right? So as we look down below, we can start to see all the detail on the job. So each cost code, each of our cost types, If we're putting budgeted hours, tracking actual hours, the actual budget amount, the cost, a lot of kind of high level information just about the job, about each activity code, about each cost type, right? So one cool thing that you can look at, let's say we trimmed it down again and we looked at the last year, for example, right? Just to trim it up. Now, since I moved this date filter, you'll notice that these numbers have changed. So you'll see this cost column has been, it'll look at the chart up here as well. So if I open it up, you'll start to see that those cost numbers do reflect whatever range we have selected here. Now, what you can do also is we can pick any individual month. So if I want to see, hey, March of 23 had a lot of cost. If I want to click on it, it will filter the chart down below. And if I throw totals on here, we can start to see our 257, 257. So we can see that for March of 23, here's the breakout for this job in particular, per cost code, per cost class, what those total costs were, what those hours were. So you can kind of filter it down to get a little bit of a picture on each of these months. Now, it will work in reverse too. So if I don't have a month selected and I just wanted to see where my precast concrete costs were, I can click on that cost code and it'll actually filter the chart up above. So if I wanted to trim this down, let's go to May, we can start to see where our costs, we'll go to June, there we go. So we can start to see what those monthly costs were for each of our individual cost codes as well. So if anyone is clicking in here and want to get back to the whole view, just unclick it. That'll get you back here. So that way you can kind of see the whole chart again. But the other configuration you can do is how much detail do you want to show in the report. So by default, it'll show both cost codes and classes. And for some, there may be a phase or an additional layer here, but you can unclick these. Right now, I'm just looking at the cost class. So I'm taking out the cost code or vice versa. I can flip it around and just see the cost code details. So however which way you want to slice it, you can kind of pick and choose what level of detail you want to see in the budget breakdown chart down below. Right. So
I love it. A lot of good data and super user friendly, even if you're just getting used to the system.
Yep, absolutely. And this is, once again, all out of the box stuff. So if there's additional information, we're happy to help out. If, hey, I would like to see a column for commitments, or I want to see, a calculation for hours per dollar. I don't know, right? We can work on the custom nature of it and add more columns in here, but just to show off some of the out of the box functionality here. Okay. So we'll try.
Andrew, I know you have the tab open for the report. Can you just show people how to get there through analytics when you click on the link?
Yes. So if we're in the analytics marketplace here, so the job cost report right there, billing report, change order report, so you can get to it from here. The only difference is if you do click it from the analytics page, you just need to search the job, right? Once you search it, move it over to the right, and then you can hit run down below. That'll get you to the same spot as if you were in the job and you click the arrow there. Okay. So a couple other reports I want to show off here. Try and get through as many as we can. It's going to be the billing report. So in that job overview page to Project Billings, show us a lot of high level information here. How much costs have been incurred this month. So it'll look at, today, right? So us being in September, this job doesn't have any costs. So obviously it's going to be blank, but it would show your cost this month and then a rough estimate on what we should be billing based on our percentage of completion. So if we had 20% margin, we had $10,000 in cost, we should expect $12,000 to bill for that month. So maybe not an exact science, but it would at least give you a good estimate based on percentage of completion, profit, that kind of stuff, right? So as we scroll through, a lot of good information around the billing side of things, schedule values. If we're using the contract module in some accounting systems or the AIA functionality in others, we can see each one of those line items, the scheduled amount, how much has been billed, percent billed. We have that kind of information readily available. Okay. Days to pay, good calculation here for what our average is for this particular job. I want to look at some of the detail. You can click into the drill down option. Here's everything that's been paid, number of days. Here's what's still outstanding. So a good, you're not limited to just the high level information. You can get into the individual transactions as well. All right. And then at the bottom, we've got our monthly billings, what's still outstanding. But the chart I always like showing off is the cost versus billings versus cash. So the blue being how much we've billed to date as of each month, the green being how much money we've brought in, and then the black being the job to date costs on this job. So looking at this job, we can see that we've been consistently billing more than our costs. We can see we had our cash and our costs kind of fighting each other up until September, October-ish. And then from there on out, we can see that this job has been cash flow positive for a good majority of it. So this is kind of the order that you want to see these in. Obviously, the green being as close to the blue as possible, but this will give at least a nice visual of the cash flow for this particular job.
Yeah, we get a lot of good feedback on this chart.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Garrett, I think we've seen a lot of good feedback for the PMs, for a lot of the operations folks, as far as, just visualizing the information is always good to have to supplement a lot of the data that's in the reports.
As you know, the cash is king, and you don't be fronting the cost for a job. So
that's right. That's right. So the other report, and then I do want to look at the company monthly billing. That'll probably be where we get to today. So change order analysis from the overview page will be right here. We can access, different change order types based on how they're being put into the accounting system. What's our original values? How much have we added through change orders? Right now, I'm just showing approved change orders. If I wanted to show estimate or pending, most certainly can. But we'll focus on the approved ones because there's some valuable insights down below where, as we start listing out all the individual change orders, how much it's affected the contract, what it's affected the budget, we can start to see on the right how it's affecting our profit margin. So what we're seeing here is we started the job, we bid it at 17.8%. And after all of our change orders, this will be a cumulative plus or minus. So we can see right at the bottom, right at the buzzer, if you will, we've got our profit back to that 17.8. But you can see, right, we dropped it to 0.21. We're at 17.6. We got it down to 17.2, but we can start to see that those new change orders start to beef up that profit percentage back to what we originally estimated the job at. So it's a good way to track profit margin, fade and gain based on the change orders that we've added against the job. And this one does have drill down capability as well. So if I wanted to click into the change order number, it'll give me a summary of what the change order is for, how much it affected the contract, how it affected the budget, what that profit margin looks like, and then how the budgeting piece of it was broken down even further for that particular change order. Right. And then I think the last report may get into more if there's questions, but within the analytics marketplace here, I always like pointing out the company monthly billing report. Seems to get a lot of attention for a lot of clients. Getting visibility into jobs, what jobs have had costs, what jobs have had billings produced month over month. But the idea here is we would be able to look at, for a particular month, we could filter it by status, by billing status. Did jobs have costs? We could filter it down that way. We can add more filters if need be. But if we're looking at August, we can see we had 59 jobs with cost. We billed out 45 of them. Here's the totals for that month. And then as we start scrolling down, we can start to see, based on our project manager, how many jobs were 100% billed, how many of them were billed during the month, and then how many jobs were not billed for each of those PMs. So you can use these as filters too. So if I want to see Earl and I want to see which jobs were not billed, I can click on it and or we can go through other ones and see, hey, here's all the jobs that were not billed for that month. And what it will show you is over here on the right, how much cost. So it's just showing you jobs that haven't been billed, right? How much cost we incurred that month, what we would expect to bill based on those costs. Once again, based on our profit margins. So if we had $3,200, we're expecting roughly a $5,000 invoice. Okay. And as we scroll on down, now I wouldn't call it a WIP, looks and feels and operates kind of like a WIP, but can give you a nice job summary for all the jobs based on the activity for that month. So if you're looking into visibility on how many jobs were billed versus not billed, this is a great report, just to keep that list in front of you, right? If they're smaller service jobs, if they're larger contract jobs, to at least get us a good, number on what we should be billing for the month. This is a great report, and I would highly recommend, looking at it. So if we looked at September, obviously we're not going to have a whole bunch of, I guess in this case, we do have a lot of jobs billed, but we would start to see, for maybe prior months, hey, in July, here were some of the jobs that did not get billings. We had a decent amount of cost come in. So that can help ask the questions or make sure things were posted in the right period. But a great report nonetheless to really dig into the details for, your own jobs, for, the company as a whole, however you want to look at it. Okay. And I think out of the reports that we've looked at today, this and the project billing analysis, and Garrett, you probably see the same thing. Those are probably some of the two most impactful and common reports that we see a lot of our customers running.
Yes, especially nice to be able to filter on PMs and dig down, get more granular, see what's not billed, and kind of address those in a timely manner. So I think the underlying theme is just how easy to navigate these are, and all the good data you have, and with the flyout windows and filters and things like that. So
Yep. And like I mentioned before, if there's other ways you guys want to filter these down, hey, I used the project type between commercial and residential, and I want to see a difference between those. We can always help you guys implement any additional information that you guys want to see on these dashboards. Okay. And I'll try and sneak one more dashboard in here. And the one I like looking at is the customer analysis dashboard. So from the analytics page, customer analysis. This one will give you a nice deep dive into the information surrounding, all your customers, or even for a specific customer as well, where I can start to see, based on my activity, if I were to pick a customer here, I can start to see, hey, here's all the jobs that we have for that customer, kind of high level information, contract, budgets, costs, profit percentages. But then you do have your other tabs up here, like the payment details, which is real nice because it'll show you, hey, what's outstanding for that customer? Is it current due? Is it retainage? Maybe there's other customers that might be, 31 to 60. There could be some that are 90 plus, but it'll give you a nice breakdown of all of the information for that customer. And then you can start seeing, some trends on, if I wanted to look at average days to pay, where are they at over the last, we could say, just give me it for the last 12 months, for example. And we can see, based on those, we can, I think this is the one I'm going to look at. So we can see, 120 days, 90 or 58 days. So we're right around that 90-day mark. So it's a good way to look into the history of any particular customer or multiple customers, right? You can always, if you hold down your control key and you want to click a couple of these, you can kind of see, you know, those 3 customers and how they're all plotted. But if you wanted to pick one, select them. You've got change order information. So all the change orders that have been processed on this customer's jobs, you know, what's approved, and then list out all those individual change orders as well. It's a lot of good information here. Right. So I think for the time, I know we try and keep these, you know, kind of short and to the point here. Those would be my go-to dashboards if you're looking into a lot of the status of the jobs, the cost, billings, change orders. That's where you're going to get most of your information, at least for the reports that are out of the box. So we can open it up if you guys have questions. If you guys have anything that you guys might want to ask while you got us here, we can take the next 5 minutes or so to make sure we answer any questions that you guys have, and you know, from there we can let you guys go.
Yeah, I'd say, like you mentioned too, if you're, you know, kind of navigating through these dashboards and see something you may want to add, please reach out. We're usually pretty good about talking to the development team and getting it rolled out for you.
Yep.
Excuse me. So yeah, it never hurts to ask, and we'll do our best for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And even if it's just a small thing, like, hey, it'd be nice if we could just have another column for this on the company billing report, another filter, or, you know, a column here for profit percentage. I don't know, right? Those are kind of things that we can work with everyone to show you how to do it, but also, you know, how to implement it on each of these dashboards as well.
Sure.
So give it another couple minutes here. If anyone has anything they would like to bring up, and then if not, we'll wrap things up. And I think we have our next webinar is going to be, or next power session, I think is going to be in a couple weeks here.
Yeah, I think it's SOV and pay apps we have coming up.
Yes. So some of the new functionality that we'll have around schedule values, pay apps, how that tracking can be done within ProNovos as well. So very, very cool, very exciting stuff to show off to everyone as well. All right. Well, nothing yet, so we'll give it another minute just in case anyone's typing something out. But we do appreciate everyone jumping on. That next power session will be on September 23rd around the pay apps and the schedule value workflows within ProNovos.
Oh, we got a question there for you.
All right. So how about a date range filter in the billing report? So if we're referring to this report or the project billing report, we can most certainly add in some sort of date filter logic, maybe up here, where we can, you know, implement maybe a slider that shows, hey, over this period, you know, here's what we billed, here's what our cash received in for that period is. We can most certainly add in additional date filters here. The company report, I would say you can, but this one's geared more towards a single month and looking at the activity for that particular month, like all the jobs within it. So if that is helpful to add some sort of date filter within the project billing analysis, we most certainly could implement some sort of date logic somewhere on the dashboard and kind of filter out a lot of the information here. All right. Well, I think that seems to be it for questions. If anyone does have any other questions or things you guys want to run by us, feel free to reach out to Garrett or I, and we can help you as best we can. But if nothing else, guys, I appreciate everyone joining us for today to talk through some of the dashboards for the project team. And please feel free to reach out if you guys have any questions.
Absolutely.
All right.
Well, thanks for your time, and
good rest of your day. Yeah, and we'll talk here soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Denver. See you soon.
All right, thanks, Garrett. Talk to you guys.
You got it.